So here we are, and we're in lesson number 8 or story number 8, as we've been kind of looking at them. So if you've been following us, we've been looking at this through the lens of a superhero, right? The story of Jesus Christ. And every great story that you know, when somebody's telling you a story, man, no matter how compelling all the details are, if you get to the end and the ending's not good, the rest of the story doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
So here we are at the end of this. And as we're looking at this, every great story has that great ending. So as we kind of recap, remember we started off with the anticipation of Jesus Christ, his manifestation in the 4 Gospels, go out and proclaim his name, the proclamation in Acts, the explanation, meaning from Romans all the way to Jude, of how we should live. And then here we are now at the culmination of everything, the ending. You know, everybody has different opinions and ideas about like how this is supposed to go down. And like I think the truth of it is a lot of us really just don't know. Now there are certain things that we do know. And as we like to say in the rooms, let's lean into the things that we do know. A quick little application here. When you walk into a situation and you hear somebody sharing about their experience and addiction and things like that, you might say, well, that's not me, or what they said doesn't apply to me, and automatically tune them out. But what we must do is, instead of looking for the things we don't know or the differences, we can really lean into what it is that we do know, what it is that we do kind of share in common. Now, what we also say is where the Bible speaks, we speak. And where the Bible is silent, we are silent. So we don't try to get into the details of things that the Bible doesn't take the point to really touch on and talk about, right? So it's kind of like this hourglass here. All of our questions or opinions are really just funneled right through Jesus Christ, because ultimately that is who matters in all of this story. But a few questions we do have is, so what will I look like, right, at the end? When this movie ends, what am I going to look like? You know, am I going to be 6'3" like I always wanted to, or am I still going to look like where that I look now? And what about my family, you know? And also too, like, will I go to a new place, or like, will I be here? Help us unpack some of that.
Yeah, that's great. Because I think that's probably part of the reality for us is we don't think as much about like when the world's going to end. It's really more about what's going to happen to me when I end. What's going to happen to me when I die. And that's why it's so important for us to continually bring this thing going back to, let's just take it all back to Jesus. Like what this whole story's been about. It's been about God's love for us, his pursuit of us, and that he was going to send he was going to send the one.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about Jesus is it's not just helpful for us as we're walking day-to-day recovery. It's that we can have hope and we can have trust and we can have belief that, man, when this all goes, whenever it ends, whatever it looks like, that we can bring it all back to Jesus. And it's really cool because we get to look at what did it look like Jesus after Jesus died?
Yeah.
Like what did it look like in those 40 days when he was after the resurrection?
Yeah.
And you see, he walked around, he was around. And so he talked to people, he ate, he was doing things like that, you know. But, you know, we don't get caught sideways trying to fill in gaps about where the stuff in Scripture is really just not very clear. What we do is we lean into what we do know and we do see. Like we don't chase after what looks like rabbit trails of, well, that could mean this and this could mean that. We just lean into what we do have, is that Jesus lived, Jesus died, Jesus rose from the grave and said that all of us that put our hope and our trust in him can look forward to the same thing. Because it doesn't really matter what faith system you believe in or any major faith system that's out there, there's really 3 options when we die, right? Like there's 3 of them. There's 3 R's. There's reincarnation, which is some belief that they're going to come back in something else, that you're going to rot, that when you die, it's just it. There's nothing else that's there, or that you're going to resurrect. Those are kind of the 3 options that are there. And for the reality for like most of us, I would say, you know, it's like you hear people talk about now, like, man, the end is near, right? They've been saying that since Thessalonians was written, though. You know what I mean? Like, they've been saying that for a while.
Yeah.
So the chances of us being around when all that goes down maybe aren't that high. But we do get a look at, like, what's it going to look like for the time that I have while I'm here. Doesn't matter when the end is, because there's 100% chance that none of us make it out of this life alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care how vegan you eat. I don't care how much you hit the gym, how slow you get. We're not making it out of this life alive. So what do we need to focus on? Is maybe focus on the mission that we have while we're here. What do I have? What do I have to do while I'm on this thing? And for those of us in recovery, it's really simple. It's to carry the message that I found a way out. Like you hear people say all the time, I'm a drunk that found a way out. And we get a chance to bring that message to other people. And I think, but that doesn't mean that we don't just acknowledge the reality that there's fear around death. Man, we have fear. And like, you know, we learned earlier, like that we fear, like is felt 7 times stronger in our brain, that there's fear that is there. But why, again, it is so important for us to bring it back to Jesus. Because when Jesus is involved, that's the same connection that I have that I'm praying to when I'm trying to stay sober today. The same connection that I get to read in the Gospels about how he treated people that messed up. And the same connection that I have when I'm asking for him to do things in my life and move and do things for me. And he's helped me through all these different obstacles or hurdles or difficulties in my recovery is the same Jesus I'm leaning into. And so the fear is there because it's unknown, you know? Yeah. And it's like the same thing that happens when with my youngest son, when he was getting ready to get a shot. He was getting one of his shots for school, super freaked out about that.
Yeah, I remember the first one.
You remember that, right? And that's, you know, what help do I get to give him is that, yes, it's going to hurt, but it doesn't last that long. You know, it's just because I've been through that before. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've seen that happen. We get to lean in with Jesus, who can be like, yes, it's unknown. Yes, this is scary. Bro, I've been there and I got this. You know, and we get to look forward to it like that. And
remember, we always have this choice between absorb or reflect. Yeah. So during this time, like you were saying, man, we can choose to fear, or we can just choose to trust God. We can choose, like in one of our lessons, what we did is we can choose to gather and hoard and mean I need to secure my future and make sure I got enough security, or we can choose to scatter, meaning go out there and really try to get the message out. And as we are choosing to scatter, meaning to go out there, the question you should ask yourself as we're living in this gap, or like some people like to say, the most important thing on a tombstone is like the dash, right? He was here from this time. So my question is, during these last days, what are you doing with your dash, right? What is our mission in these last days? And that is the analogy of Noah is to get people onto this boat of salvation. You know, Noah was like a type of Christ. There was one door on the ark to save people from this destruction, and that door is Jesus Christ. So what are you doing, right, to get people onto this boat?
Yeah.
You know, that's a little analogy somebody gave me one time is that, you know, there is this boat, and the boat's going to be leaving at a certain time. And maybe you want to be kind. You don't want to pressure the other person. You don't want to force your beliefs on them. So you just don't tell them about Jesus. And then the end comes, we're on the boat and they're running up on the dock. And they say, why didn't you tell me there was a trip?
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do at that point except look at them as the boat sails off. Yeah. So really press into this time and say, how am I really reflecting Jesus? How am I going out there during these last days to make sure that when he comes back, we can get as many people on this boat as possible?
Yeah, and I think back through like my recovery, right? Like no matter what your experiences with church are like, or what your experiences of Jesus has been like, is I know what I can talk about my experience of Jesus has been like, and man, I want to live in that. Like the things changed when I embraced the Jesus from Scripture and allowed him to be what I connected through God when I went through that. So, man, we're so grateful you're on this journey with us. Southeast Recovery, like we have a mission. We just want to connect you with Jesus as a part of your long-term recovery. And as we've been in this section of kind of understanding the Bible, like we don't want to replace the Bible. We're just trying to give an overview of the Bible that you can look at as you're reading it and studying it. And man, so really hope you're enjoying it. Really grateful you're on this journey, and we hope that you continue walking with us.
And we're looking forward to seeing you in phase 3.